Thanks for coming to our panel on internships given by students in the Department of Geography and Environmental Studies at Hunter College. And today we have three presenters, Stephen, Summer, and Peter, and they're going to give us their experiences. So let's first go in that in exactly that order. First Stephen, then Summer, then Peter. We have our chair here too. So before Steve, wait a second. Professor Pavlovskaya is on board and would like to say a few words. Thank you.
Yes, well, thank you so much, Peter, for organizing this event. And thank you so much to Stephen, Peter, and Summer for volunteering the internship experiences. And I just want to say that this event is part of what we call National Geography Awareness Week. And during this week, we are trying to pull together different kinds of events that communicate the need and the importance of our craftsmanship, right? Of studies that are related to geography and environmental science, the ones that are related to interactions between people and the environment, current crisis, climate emergency, the need for sustainability, and how can we achieve this sustainable world. And part of that is, of course, preparing students, right? Our future and the generation that actually, not by their choosing, but would have to deal with a lot of those events, right? And a lot of those problems. And I'm so happy that you are part of our department, that you are taking classes with us, and you're also majoring with us. And I'm also so happy that you are able to experience internships before you go on into the big world. Because as Peter said, that it is an amazing way to really realize whether this is what you want to do or not, right? Or whether you want to do it this way or in some other way. So again, I'm looking forward to those presentations. Thanks for sharing those experiences, and keep on it, right? Let's build sustainable world. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And well, let me start off with my presentation for my internship. Okay, this is the teaching experience for undergraduates, also known as TEU, in math and science. I was an intern for the science course there at the time because it was the first time in 2 years they brought back the TEU experience because of COVID-19. They couldn't do it in person, and they wouldn't want to do it remote because it takes away from the experience. All right, at face value, TEU participants take a course in either science or math, and in a mathematics pedagogy course, which is learning how to be teachers. And what they learn throughout this pedagogy course is during the summer enrichment class and they bring that experience, the experience is what they learn, to New York City Public School under the supervision of a master teacher mentor, which is a teacher that has been working in the education systems for at least 3 to 5 years. Also, you get a $3,500 stipend, which is just to pay for a lot of other extra things. Metro cards to cover your local travel, receive daily breakfast and lunch, have the option to earn college credit for a pedagogy course, which is pretty nice. Receive funding to attend a national or regional conference on STEM education during the academic year, which is also a really nice thing that they do. For non-residential people that are not from New York City, participants will need to provide their own housing. The requirements: you need 9+ credit hours in either math or science at a 2 to 4 year college. And specifically for the science programs, it's preferred that you have mainly earth science credits. You need 2 letters of recommendation, 2 personal page statements, and students from the New York City area are highly encouraged to join this program. The responsibilities as an intern for TEU: Throughout the entire summer, you're going to be teaching 15 lessons, and you're going to be doing that in teams of 3. So each team has 3 people, and you'll be creating lesson plans for your classes with an experienced mentor. Also, while you're doing that, you'll be taking trips to cultural institutions in New York City every Friday, such as the American Museum of Natural History, the American Indian Museum of History, the American Indian Museum, and also other public places. You'll also be doing daily and weekly reflections, which is just some specifics of dispositions that they want the interns to understand. We'll also be doing individual and group observation debriefs, just so everyone can get comfortable and learn from each other while we're throughout this experience, because the majority of us were just starting off to understanding what being a teacher really is. And also team building, because none of us have ever met each other. We want to build more of a stronger group connection. Also, being an intern there, you're going to be taking your courses, so you need to do homework. So your pedagogy course will be assigning you coursework based off of specific readings that each professor has available to them. Throughout the summer, my group and I worked on teaching students about climate change and earth science systems. So what you can see here through these 3 pictures, one day we had a lab for the students to work on to see how heat transfers through different materials. Another day we worked on differences in elevation using Play-Doh, because a lot of the students needed more of a visual learning to understand the differences in elevation. And another day we did more of a visual model on the board where students were helping us depict evaporation. My personal takeaways from this internship experience were co-teaching was very new to me. I was not planning to be a teacher, and because they accepted me to this internship, I thought it'd be a great experience to see where my degree could take me. But co-teaching is very hard because everyone there wants to teach the way they want to teach, and you need to learn how to work in a group in order to know when you should give a chance for someone else to speak, or whether or not to continue handling the reins so that you can continue the course without the students, without losing the students. Lesson planning, we were given Department of Education syllabus for what they were supposed to learn, but because we only had 15 lesson plans, it was very hard to actually plan out what we wanted to do. So whatever information they provided us, we just threw it out the window and just used like the main topics of climate change and stuff, so that we can give the students a brief experience of what they're expected to learn without them being lost in the material, because it was not actually proper material for them to learn within a summer course. And we wanted to give the students a positive summer school experience, because a lot of these kids are coming in not with the best experiences when it comes to learning science. So we want them to understand and have some fun while understanding the climate systems of Earth and understand the importance of climate change. I do not know what resume boosting is. I believe one of my group members put this on their slide. So I'll just skip to the next one, which is networking with AMNH, which is the American Museum of Natural History, and more like other teaching cohorts and other teaching programs. You can, if you want to be a teacher, through here, you can branch out to multiple organizations that will help you on your path to become a teacher, or through the American Museum of Natural History, you can also be involved in more of the different researches that occur there. And while trying to teach high school students, the science communication skills are very important, because we have to really simplify our wording for them to understand what we're trying to say. So developing those types of skills was very beneficial for me personally, because I want to make sure that every time I speak anything science related, I want people to understand without, questioning their thoughts when I'm speaking about anything. science related. And here is the flyer for this year's teaching experience for undergraduates. This is also available on the Hunter College Geography and Environmental Sciences website. Do we have any questions?
Like the program?
What?
Did you like the program?
I did like the program. It was fun. Like I don't plan to become a teacher, but I wanted to see what my degree can take me. And through this internship, it was fun. It was a different experience. You know, trying to teach high schoolers what I've learned previously from Hunter College was quite difficult, but it was an eye-opening experience to see a different view of what people want to take their degrees towards. And it was just fun. They provided us the trips were fun. And well, just the team building was also fun because you got to meet more people.
Okay. Did you do this for a capstone?
I was planning to, but unfortunately at the time I didn't fill out the paperwork for it.
Okay, great. And I see that it's at Vassar. Were you up at Vassar or in New York?
No. Here, this internship was mainly inside New York City. Our site was at James Baldwin High School, which is in Lower Manhattan.
Okay.
And Vassar College and, as you can see, Carnegie are the sponsors for this undergraduates program, the experience.
Any other questions? No, that was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, who else is on board? Summer, but is there any like professors or before summer starts, 1 second? No. Okay, that's fine. So, right, is it, and what did Mariana say? There was a chat down here? Okay. Yes, intern, the application for the program, we have it on the web, so you can get that. It seems like the applications are due in February, so you have some time if you're interested. Okay, very good. Thanks, Stephen. Let's switch now to Summer. Please go ahead.
Okay, hi everyone. Thanks for having me. I just wanted to start by saying I'm getting over a cold, so if my voice cracks or anything, that's why. Here we can start. There we go. And Stephen, it looks like we picked the same theme, so there must be some geographer or environmental science mindset that we were both having.
It's a really good theme.
So I was a sustainability intern at the Parks Department. I got the internship through my advisor when as an undergrad. I just graduated in the spring, and Alan Fry was my advisor. So he kind of reached out to professional connections that he had and was able to get me this internship that also aligned with my capstone. So essentially this ended up being my independent study for my last semester. My supervisor at the time was Max Lerner, and he's the lead of the emerging technologies team at the Parks Department. And his office is at the Citywide Services Complex on Randall's Island. And anyone at Hunter or any students or friends that you're interested in are welcome to see the green roof that is there. So right on the screen, you can see the Randall's Island Park map, and those two gray blocks are essentially where the offices are. And it's a pretty large building. It's it's got one giant green roof that's about 45,000 square feet, I believe, is the top of the green roof. So you can see here in this image, there's solar panels. In the back corner, you can't really see in this photo, but there's a beekeeping operation. And then this kind of burlap that you see that's black is actually green roof vegetables that they grow. So they donate the produce that comes from there. And we have access to the entire roof, and I have a few more photos in the slideshow. And that was probably like the highlight of the experience, was that a lot of my education and experience there was actually outdoors and maintaining the green roofs and doing some installations as well. So I was there from February to May. So basically I saw like spring happen essentially while I was there. And they have like pretty extensive like irrigation systems there and whatnot. And also the entire building, which is a very large like essentially facility that hosts many of their departments, like some of the accounting departments, and also this emerging technologies team, which focuses more on green roof installation all across the city. And the building is surrounded by like permeable pavement, which I found very interesting because that's kind of one of the more experimental, less implemented forms of, water capture that goes on in the city. So next slide. The scope of my capstone, it was studying extensive green roof systems. I'm not sure if any of you guys in your classes have been exposed to green roof systems, but they can range in size. These are a few examples here that are actually in modules. And these are the ones that I use to perform the experiments, but they have ones that basically roll out to like large carpets. And that's the most common type you'll see. They're pretty thin. The goal is to use material that weighs as little as possible, so it can live on top of a roof. And a lot of the parks buildings or New York City, municipal buildings that you'll see around the city have green roofs that are maintained by the Parks Department. Like, for example, the largest one is on top of the Javits Center. So that's a couple 10,000 square feet. And Parks Department maintains about 14% of all of New York City's territory. So it's a very large endeavor to be a part of this group. And I think it was a really great experience as a Hunter student to be able to work with a municipal agency like this, because that's what I would like to do in my career. So it was very customizable, because I wasn't in like a internship program that was super rigid. I kind of had to make myself a schedule and work with my advisor to really set out a course for myself, because Max, who was the supervisor at the time, he takes on interns all year long. So there's always a need for people to maintain these properties and also help out their internship program that they have with high schools. So they'll host, anywhere from like 5 to 10 high school students that I also worked with at the time. And our day-to-day would be mostly like maintaining the green roof systems on the roof. As you can see, like some of these photos are also from the roof. And I basically just used the supplies that were provided by Hunter and Parks, and they were really generous and really helpful. Like everyone in the office was curious about the projects that I was working on, and also just, willing to help out or give their time, and even just their expertise, whatever they were working on at the time, to kind of work with the interns and show them around, and also like, just give them tours and whatnot, because they do host tours up here a lot for students and for professionals. And basically I would just like have this capture. If you could see the white box in one of these photos, it just captured the water underneath these green roofs modules, because they have holes under them. And I would just basically weigh it on a scale, add water, wait a interval of time, and then see how much water was absorbed or how much was left over. And I did this over the course of several days in the spring. And here we just have more photos of the green roof itself. It was like really beautiful to watch spring come up on here, because this is like essentially where the office is. So people can enjoy like their lunch up here and spend any time, like even on the weekends up here. It's a little difficult to get to Randall's Island. Just, you could take the bus, so it's not that bad, or you can walk over the footbridge, which I did several times. And this photo right here is actually of the inside of the office where you have all these potted plants. And I think that was kind of a real highlight for me when I first toured the facility. I had wanted to work outside because, you know, we've been stuck inside for a while since COVID. And I only really, I was a double major at the time. I mean, I graduated with 2 majors. So my first 2 years were really focused on my Italian major, and only my last 2 years did I kind of have to cram in my geography major. So getting this like outdoor experience was really a highlight for me, and also to see that the office was so green and lively, and people really cared about maintaining all of these like exotic plants that were indoors. And this area right here was also accessible. It's kind of just like a quad that was like an internal roof that people could walk on and have lunch. And then you just went 1 level upstairs, and that's where all the green roofs were. So basically like 45 different types of green roofs live side by side. And then there's walking paths, and some of them are quite heavy. So most, you know, typical homes or buildings can't maintain something that is this heavy, unless the building's just retrofitted for it. And a highlight would be for the program was definitely the flexibility. So I pretty much just made my own hours, visited when I needed to, and then got time to do my individual research. And also I still am in contact with the people that I worked with, and they were really great. So any questions? I hope I went into enough detail.
Questions? Comments? Go ahead, Jack.
I have a question less so about like your internship specifically, but more so, you said you were a language major and a geography major. I was just wondering if like your like language major had it all like played into your like career decisions after graduating or anything like that.
Well, I'm actually looking for jobs, so I'm not working at the moment. I've just been like applying for jobs. I'm from Long Island, so it's a bit of a commute if I want to work in the city full time. So that's like the decision I'm working on now. But my Italian major, it brought me to Italy, which was great. And I studied in high school. I didn't have like a family connection or anything like that. And I think they definitely overlap because I really love the GIS courses that I took at Hunter, and I think I would like to go into GIS, having like a technician job or something like that soon. And mapping, you know, being abroad helped me kind of broaden my horizons, if you will. So it definitely made me more like creative when it came to mapping and being really interested in like the history of cartography and stuff like that, being in like a European country. So I think they definitely overlap. If something's like your passion, you'll always find a way to mix them. And language learning is helpful for many reasons to begin with. But as far as like the career goes, I'm not interested in being a language teacher, and a lot of the professional studies at Hunter are guided towards, you know, secondary teaching, like if you go into the master's program and whatnot. I was more interested in like the politics of Italy at the time.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you enjoyed your internship?
Oh yes, it was great. I loved it. And there was also like, I was working with about 10 high school interns at the time, and they were great, really professional for like a bunch of, you know, 16, 17-year-olds. I was really impressed by them. And they actually managed to convince their school to do a green roof install.
Oh, great.
I think it was somewhere in the Bronx. I forget if they were a City As, because I remember there were some City As students, but then they stopped in between. And then I'm not familiar with many of the New York City high schools. I didn't grow up there. But yeah, I had a great time. Max is awesome. If you guys are interested in green roofs, or if you're interested in even just getting a tour at the Randall's Island facility, you're always welcome to. I could liaise on something to like set up if anyone's interested.
Oh, thank you.
Of course.
How long was the internship for?
It was February to May, just a semester.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would be there like 2 to 3 days a week.
Right. Okay. And you had to write a report for your capstone, correct? From
Yep.
this?
Yeah.
And what was the title of that? What was that paper about? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. The title is the second line here, studying extensive green roof systems for urban stormwater management. So basically it was like a literature review of green roofs and how they've been used in urban design. That's another like major interest for me is especially a place like New York City where we get a lot of rain compared to other regions of the world. And so these green roof systems can be maintained all year long because there's enough rain. They don't tend to need an irrigation system, at least not in our region. And they've been installed all over the city. There's also like there's some tax schemes to encourage buildings and developers to include green infrastructure on their buildings. And that was pretty much the extent of it. And then the experimental part was the part that I explained where I would water essentially these modules over a period of time, see how much water capture they were able to absorb, or measure evapotranspiration. If it was like a really sunny day, sometimes we would actually notice that in real time. And then that was pretty much May, because I wanted to do it when it was a little bit warmer. That was the extent of the paper, and just comparing it globally as well. Like I used different examples from different regions, like how they work in colder climates, warmer climates, places that it's sunny a lot of the year.
That's great. That sounds really interesting. It's great work.
Thank you.
I see 2 chats. Is that?
We got a question in the chat from Mariana. She
Go ahead.
asked, how much water do the green roofs need to not dry out?
Okay.
This is a big puzzle for me, Summer, and thanks for the presentation. So if you could explain, it would be great.
Of course. Sorry. So the puzzle for you is each module, or obviously depends on the size.
Just in principle, because as you
Right.
explained, what happens with green roof, so they can absorb a lot of storm water, right?
Yes.
So that is great. What happens when we have a dry spell?
Well, the goal is to usually use sedum, which is what you'll see here. This is all sedum for the most part. So it does require, generally less water, has pretty shallow soils. And they've lasted for sometimes, months without really getting watered. But when you have something that's more deeper rooted, or something that's maybe like a native corridor, like some green roofs, they like to introduce native plants and to help the ecology in general of the area. And those do require more maintenance. So if you see in this image right here, like these buckets are trees, and those definitely require more maintenance, and they would have to be someone who can water them if there is like a dry spell. But for the most part, the sedum can last without being watered for a pretty long time. And depending on the module, they might actually like hold water themselves. It might not drain. Depends on the design. And there's tons of private companies now that are making either it's the soil or it's the let me see the layers. Some of the layers for green roofs, or they're producing the kind of engineered plants that are preferred for green roofs as well. Lots of private companies are coming out with those now. But if you see all these layers, sometimes there's an extra absorption layer so that they don't get dried out.
That's cool. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Was there another question? That was just, okay. All right. Anyone else? Questions, comments? Excellent.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for listening, guys.
Sure. Pete, you're up.
Can you see this okay on Zoom? Okay.
Well, it looks like.
Oh,
No,
it's
it's
not
not
the
your
notes.
notes.
Okay.
How do you get rid of it?
I don't know.
That's how. Okay. Make it larger.
You know, presenting.
No, I just.
There's
Okay.
something that's like swap. Here.
Okay, just 1 second. You don't want to see his dollars.
I don't have any notes on it, but
If it's okay there and.
okay.
You need me.
No, it's-
I know there's no notes on it, so
Oh, there's no notes?
I don't think so. I don't think so. So,
Okay, you know what, let's do this then. Okay,
okay.
that's good too.
Yeah, so thank you all for coming. I'm gonna be talking about my summer program that I did, which was called Undergraduate Research Experiences in Cave and Tar Science. I was down in Virginia for the summer doing this. And it was considered a research experience for undergraduates. So it's a program funded by the National Science Foundation. And it's basically a 10-week program that's focused on giving people research experience to kind of get introduced into different fields and also just the research process in general. You can find the programs, they're listed, if you search up NSF REUs, there's a whole list of them. And like you can see, they're not just geography or environmental science, they're all different kinds of sciences. And there's just tons of opportunities listed for every kind of field. And basically, in terms of applications, I want to say most of them, like you apply in January, February, but there are some that have rolling deadlines. So there's some that you could apply sooner rather than later. For me personally, I applied in January. In my application, it was 2 letters of recommendation. And then they wanted a resume, and they had like prompt questions to answer about like what are your interests, why you'd be a good fit, and stuff like that. And they say you should apply to 10 to get a good chance at one, but I'm not really sure how true that is, but that's just what I was told. I did not apply to 10, but and the pay is $700 a week, and then they also cover the transportation costs to get there, and they cover housing and pretty much like anything you need to do your research. They have funds for, and to go on trips, they pay for that and stuff. So that was a big plus. So personally, my research project was focused on how sinkholes and springs impacted land cover and water quality relationships. A lot of that was done using GIS. And so during the summer, I really learned a lot of GIS and got introduced to that. And then another big thing that I enjoyed and a big takeaway that I took out of it was just communicating the research, because I was doing all the research, but we also had to give presentations and explain it to everyone else. So it's kind of a big focus on science communication, which I think is really important. And then another part of it was I was given funding to attend a research conference. So back in October, I got to go to Denver, Colorado, to the Geological Society of America to give a poster presentation. So like you can see like the one on the right is me in the summer presenting, and that's me in Denver a couple months ago. And that was really cool just because the program like allowed me to get there and also just like networking and be exposed to it and learn a lot more about careers in the geosciences and stuff like that. The other part of the program, I also got to help out on other people's research projects. So somebody was doing a project cataloging signatures in a cave because it used to be used for like big parties in the 1800s. And so it had a bunch of signatures of people's dates and where they were from. And so part of the project was creating a catalog and then also using LiDAR, which is light, image, light, and direction and ranging or something. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's basically like taking a 3D scan of a cave to make a map out of it, which was really cool. And I got a lot of experience using that technology. And then some of the other projects, which were more like ecology focused, there's a couple taking place on this farm nearby, and they were looking at riparian restorations. And I'll show you on the next slide. So there was a farm and had a stream, and they wanted to do a riparian restoration. And so the farm was already doing it, and there was a researcher who wanted to look at how different types of the tree cover would affect their growth. So they had ventilated ones and unventilated ones to kind of see which would affect the mortality because in the area, a lot of trees were dying. So they wanted to see if adding ventilation would help them. And then hopefully that'll get changed into the policy to make sure that people can use the ventilated slides. So yeah, so this was me in the cave. It was a lot of fun just because since we were researching there, we got like private access at night and we just go and we got to see parts of the cave that weren't always open to the public, which was a lot of fun. And then in addition, there was weekly program workshops, which was kind of a focus on becoming geoscientists and learning research methods. So some of the themes were ethics of research, applying to graduate programs, diversity, equity, and inclusion in STEM, science communication, data management, and presenting research at a conference, all of which were extremely, I think are extremely important. And I really learned a lot at these workshops. And in addition to the workshops, we also had seminars, which like we had a weekly seminar to kind of learn more about mostly geology focused, but some geography. So we got time to use like the technology and different lessons about like GIS stuff. And also we just got to hear a lot of the professors talk about their research paths and their projects that they worked on, which were all super interesting. And then we also got a tour of Grand Caverns Cave, which was a local cave, and some lessons about geoheritage and the formations in that cave and how it's like unique and compared to like all other caves in the world. Just some of the features it had. And then there's also a bunch of field trips. We got to visit state parks. We got to go hiking in a lot of places. We would like stop at the rock outcrops and look at like the geography or geology, I mean. And then there was also a trip to Washington, DC, and then a camping and caving trip. So there's me in DC. There's like some of the stuff we did in the seminar was like looking at rocks and fossils and also just outcrops along the highway whenever we'd go places. This was me in the cave. It was just really cool, a really fun experience. And personally, at the end of the program, I definitely felt a lot more confident about my decision to do environmental studies just and have that experience. And it made me feel a lot more confident in myself and my research abilities. I also learned a lot more about grad school and professional career paths. And I just got tons of new experiences that I would not have gotten in New York City. And the program really had a lot of benefits that made it a very enjoyable experience. And that is all.
Questions, comments?
Other questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, could you go back to the slide that has your research question?
Yes.
Okay, so my question for you is, when you were applying for this, did you already know the type of research you wanted to do and you had to write a proposal, or was this given to you once you already out there?
Yeah, so when I was applying, they had a list of the faculty that were going to be the program advisors, and all of them had their own research interests. So you basically, in the application, you had to rank your interests. So you didn't have to create the proposal. It was more so you are given the research topic and you just have to work through it.
Okay, good to know, thanks.
Yep. Any other questions? Is there anything in the chat or? Okay.
Right, well, I think, Pete, can you talk a little bit about like what NSF is? I mean, not everyone might know what out there.
The NSF is the National Science Foundation, and they provide like a lot of grants for research. And I mean, I wasn't super involved with them, but they were like the people that gave the funding for my research program. And also, like 20 minutes ago, I got a text with the flyer for next year or this summer's program. So if anybody's interested, I will send it to you. It's a really cool experience, in my opinion. There you go.
Great. So the REUs are a particular funding stream for NSF. So it's actually research for undergraduates. And they have basically, as I understand it, professors sort of submit sort of applications to develop these REUs, and then the successful ones are the ones like Peter went to that can constantly people. How many students were there?
It was a group of 10 students from across the country, but I have some friends who did like an REU somewhere out west. Another person did one in like Texas, and there are also a bunch of ones like in Costa Rica as well, and I want to say Hawaii. and just all around the country. There's art.
And they do different,
Yeah, and they're all different focuses. So this was like the only one that was like cave focused.
and you wanted to do caving, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I got into, so that's what I want.
Okay, so was this related to your capstone at all?
I haven't done my capstone yet.
Oh,
Yeah,
but you know how to do research now?
yes, I do know how to do research, which will hopefully help me out with my
Right,
capstone.
well, a couple more questions. You seem, unless anyone else has. I wanna, okay, so on your presentations, you seem to have gone from a linear sort of set of pictures to a more sort of square diagonal faceted with your poster board.
Yeah,
Did you find one way better than the other?
Um,
Can we look at that screen?
yeah,
Yes, you can see what, like these are the same things I'm thinking, but they're different.
yeah, I mean, it was the one that was vertical, they just told us to make it vertical.
Okay.
And then I just, personally, I like the horizontal one more. But I guess it's personal preference.
And could you tell us about this presentation experience? Like, where were you? What was it like?
Yeah, so, the one on, I just realized now I'm wearing the same thing both photos. But, the one on the right, that was, in Virginia at the end of the program, so it was to the other people in the program, other people, at JMU, James Madison University, where I was, there's one for geology, and then there's also ones for biology and chemistry and math, so we were all given our presentations. So it was kind of more to like a science focused audience, but also not really geology, so it was much more focused on just making sure that communications were easily to understand. And then the other one, when I went to Colorado, everyone there was pretty much very knowledgeable about geology, so they kind of asked a lot of tough questions. But the questions really helped me to kind of better think about my research and understand kind of where, like, for what further research could be and stuff like that. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just have a question. Did you have a hard time making research and kind of learning GIS at the same time?
It was a little challenging, but like there they gave me like they give you all the resources that you need to do it, and they also have, everybody there was super supportive, and if you ever needed help, they were very easy to help you out and stuff like that. So it was pretty nice.
What was the website that you
I want to say if you just go, I want to say it's nsf.org, and then if you search up RIU, or if you just go National Science Foundation, RIU on Google, and then it'll probably be the first link. But I can send it.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that. Mariana, do you have any questions or comments?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Peter. That was very interesting. I have a quick question. Was there something that you didn't like? Was there something that you thought was like, oh, no, this is not what I kind of really wanted?
I'm trying to think. I mean, the one thing, it was a very small town. And so I didn't have a car there, so it was kind of tough to get around at times, but some people did have cars, which was nice, but that was definitely something that I did not foresee, and it was not the best part. But other than that, it was a pretty good experience.
Great. So place matters, right? Where
Yeah.
you actually do that research. Very good. Thank you.
Yes.
Very nice, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, that was really great, three great presentations. And Professor Pawlowski, do you wanna like say anything? In summary?
I just, Peter, thank you. I think I just would like to thank you all for those very interesting and stimulating presentations. I think they really showcase very, very different kinds of internships that our students can undertake. And I can see how those experiences really are important for choosing what you will do in the future. And also affirming, or maybe in this case, it seems like it was your choices of your fields, right, of geography and environmental studies. I also noted that all of you have learned a lot on the internship itself. So it wasn't just kind of applying the knowledge you already have and the skills that you have, but it is expanding both the knowledge and the skills. That was also very great to hear. Thank you. I encourage everybody to apply for internships, that's for sure.
I thought we saw 3 great examples of internships. So like Professor Pavlovsky said, consider that. Consider it, because you'll learn a lot about whether you like something or whether you don't, and potentially push your career forward like you would see. Okay, with that, I'd just like to finally thank Amy Ju for setting this all up, because I could not without her, believe me. And that's it. Thank you very much for coming.